team can be the heroes on the Wheaties box.
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy. So Thunderbolts' massive post-credit scene has set the stage not only for Fantastic Four First Steps, but also, of course, Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. So we're going to explain what this post-credit scene is teasing for the final chapter of the Multiverse saga, and why this shot of the Fantastic Four rocket may not be the spoiler that everyone thinks it is. We're also going to talk about Sam Wilson's beef with Bucky and the New Avengers, and how this rift between Sam and the New Avengers is perfectly setting up the sides that our heroes will take and the teams that will assemble as their universe begins to crumble. And be sure to check out our Thunderbolts Shane's Tire shirt. We have one for every single member of the team. And we've also got our The Thing in the style of John Carpenter's The Thing, the America's Ass commemorative stamp, the I Hate You 3000 shirt, and many more great Marvel-inspired parody shirts up on our merch store. You can find the links below. So Thunderbolts was one of the best Marvel projects in a long time. I would say it's the best Marvel movie we've gotten since Guardians 3. We have our assortment of anti-heroes with checkered past coming together to save the world. And in doing so, they prove not just to the world, but to themselves that they are worthy of being the New Avengers. This movie's villain being the Void, the literal darker half of the century, was a little on the nose, but in the best way possible. Seeing Bob, who suffers from severe depression, dark thoughts, and a very troubled past, literally go to war with himself, it perfectly represents the hero's journey that each of these characters is on. They're all essentially former assassins who have taken many lives, and in a lot of ways, that's the path that was chosen for them. Yelena and Bucky didn't have much choice in the heinous things they've done in their past. Bucky was under literal mind control as the Winter Soldier, and Yelena was groomed from a young age by the Red Room. And the same is true for the others. Ava was manipulated by S.H.I.E.L.D. from a young age to be a stealth operative and do their dirty work. Walker was put through hell as a combat vet for the US military, and Alexei was tasked with assignments that haunted him as Russia's Red Guardian. And Taskmaster was controlled with a chip in her neck to be a remote-controlled lethal assassin. Each of these characters, in their own way, were all forced to kill and embrace their darker selves. Now, these checkered past for the New Avengers is probably the reason why Sam Wilson is fighting them for the name. You remember in Captain America Brave New World, Sam Wilson's Captain America is now determined to reform the Avengers. But as of the end of that movie, he had a whopping one member in Joaquin Torres.
The world needs the Avengers.
Now, you'd think that Sam would be elated to have a series of kick-ass new recruits with government approval, ample funding, and their own tower to kickstart his new Avengers. And you would think that Sam would simply reach out to his old buddy Bucky to join forces. But it appears that a lot has changed in the 14 months between Brave New World and the Thunderbolts, and this post-credits scene. Now, Coffee! We don't sell coffee. We're a video store.
Oh, please. I couldn't sleep at all last night. I get anxious, I look at my phone, and I doom scroll to keep the night terrors away.
Oh no. What are we going to do about these tariffs?
Oh, dude, tell me about it. I have had the worst anxiety. Whenever we cover a million things at once, I would lay awake at night worrying about how we're going to get everything done, and then I worry because I'm not sleeping enough, and then next thing you know, I look like you.
I'm a monster.
But you look well rested now, person.
Well, yeah, that's because, thank goodness, I started drinking Dream, a nighttime cocoa mix made by Beam, the sponsor of this video. Dream is a delicious cinnamon and cocoa flavored powder made with natural ingredients that are clinically proven to improve sleep, such as melatonin, magnesium, reishi, apigenin, and L-theanine. Now with Dream, I fall asleep faster, sleep longer, and wake up without grogginess. There's no added sugar, it's only 15 calories, gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, non-GMO, and keto-friendly. And it's super easy to make. First you add in a scoop, you froth it up, and it's delicious. Try some. Glug, 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 glug. There, is that better? I have had so many sleep problems in the past, waking up in the middle of the night and then worrying about my day so I can't fall back asleep, and then that anxiety just makes it to where I can't get any work done, so I worry and I lose sleep. Lack of sleep just used to ruin my life, but taking Dream has dramatically improved my sleep cycle so I can actually get more done during the day and I'm less stressed. So get the sleep that you deserve with up to 35% off Dream. Click our link below, shopbeam.com/ScreenCrush, or scan this QR code and use that code ScreenCrush at checkout for 35% off Dream. You will not regret it. Now, back to what I was saying. So I think it's safe to assume that Sam is distancing himself from the New Avengers for 3 reasons. 1, he may have felt a little bit blindsided by the New Avengers being assembled without him. I mean, he is the new Captain America, a title that he didn't come by easy. In Falcon and the Winter Soldier and in Brave New World, Sam fought like hell to prove that he was worthy of the shield, and he even struggled to accept himself as being worthy of the shield. And a big part of that journey involved his conflict with John Walker.
It'd be a whole lot easier if I had Cap's wingman on my side. It's always that last line.
So that's number one. He feels blindsided and betrayed. Two, he doesn't trust Valentina. And I mean, why would he? The new Avengers don't even trust her. Sam knows she's corrupt and likely wants nothing to do with her. And he probably wants his Avengers to be separate from the US government and to be a private and independent organization like Steve Rogers wanted, as we saw in Captain America Civil War.
But the safest hands are still our own.
And there's some irony here as well, as Bucky was the center of the conflict between Team Cap and Team Iron Man in Civil War. Team Iron Man tried to bring Bucky in, while Team Cap was out trying to keep him out of the hands of the authorities. And now, here's Bucky on the government-approved Avengers team. Now, the third and most soul-crushing reason is that Sam probably thinks this lineup of heroes aren't worthy of being Avengers. And I know that sounds uncharacteristic of Sam, but let me explain. As we mentioned earlier, Sam struggles with believing that he himself was worthy to carry the mantle of Captain America and of leading the Avengers, and he's always been a big believer in the idea that people can change. He saw hope in Carly, he saw hope in Thunderbolt Ross, and that is what makes him the perfect Captain America. He sees the best in people. But it would be some great character development to see Sam lose sight of that as he settles into his role as Cap and begins forming his own team. We could see Sam allow his elevated status as Captain America, his feelings of having been betrayed, his valid distrust of Valentina, and his past with John Walker to taint his judgment, and this would veer him away from being the accepting person that we've seen in the past. Sam has the noble goal of forming a new team of heroes that are worthy of the name, and he's feeling that pressure of living up to the likes of Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, and a literal god in Thor. And this immense pressure could lead him to saying something insensitive in an argument with Bucky. Something like, we can't have a bunch of killers as the new Avengers. Bucky would then remind Sam that he, as the Winter Soldier, has the darkest past of them all. He has killed more innocent people than all of them combined. Sam would then say, well, that's different because he was under mind control, and Bucky would then say that there's no difference and that his team was also robbed of their choices. Bucky would even remind Sam that he was also a soldier and that he and Steve both did things in war that they weren't proud of, but they were things they thought they had to do. He would remind Sam that Tony Stark manufactured countless bombs and nukes that killed tens of thousands of people. Natasha Romanoff was also a product of the same Red Room as Yelena, and she was also a former assassin. He could also talk about Clint Barton's history as Ronin following the loss of his family in Infinity War. There's also Bruce Banner and his many rampages as the Hulk, not to mention Thor and his decapitation of an unarmed Thanos. They have all had dark moments, but those aren't the moments that define them. We think this rift between the two heirs of Steve Rogers will be the catalyst for the Avengers' eventual defeat in Avengers Doomsday, much like the rift between Tony and Steve was responsible for their loss in Infinity War. Instead of being united as the crisis unfolds in space, our heroes are divided, and this divide could be teasing the lineup of opposing sides in Avengers Doomsday, as well as Doctor Doom's own team of Avengers. Let me explain. So the crisis happening in space is likely referencing an incursion. Take it away, Jim.
An incursion occurs when the boundary between two universes erodes and they collide, destroying one or both entirely.
Incursions were the catastrophic event happening in the Secret Wars comics, which led to a battle between our heroes to save their respective realities from annihilation. With the MCU's Doctor Doom sharing the face of Tony Stark, it's been long rumored and theorized that Doom will form his own team of Avengers, and Team Doom may have already assembled here in the Thunderbolts. But before we get into that, let's explain what's going on with the extraterrestrial ship and what comes next. This extra-dimensional ship entering the atmosphere is none other than the Fantastic Four's rocket from Fantastic Four First Steps. Some are saying that this is a spoiler because it tells us how the Fantastic Four movie ends, with the Fantastic Four's universe being destroyed and them escaping to another reality, and that reality being the main MCU. It's been wildly speculated that this scene is showing us the Fantastic Four fleeing to the MCU, but come on, I'm not sure that's the case. In the trailer for First Steps, we hear Reed say,
It's my fault. I stretched the bounds of space.
This implies that Reed was tampering with multiversal travel prior to the arrival of Galactus, and that Reed is responsible for their universe being marked for death. Our own Colton Ogburn has many times theorized that Galactus isn't the primary threat of this film, or the reason the universe is dying, but he is simply there to eat an already dying world. Think of him as a garbage disposal for the multiverse. It's made clear in the trailers for First Steps that just like in the comics, the Fantastic Four go up in their rocket, and they come back with superpowers after having been exposed to cosmic rays. Well, in WandaVision, we see something similar. Monica Rambeau travels through an energy field of manipulated energy which gives her powers. And it was even with Monica that we heard this line that many speculated could be a reference to the Fantastic Four.
How are the numbers for the astronaut training program?
Dismal. Lost half my personnel on the blip and
Half of those remaining have lost their nerve.
So perhaps the Fantastic Four gained their powers through a similar means as Monica. What if the Fantastic Four's mission into space isn't a simple trip around the solar system, but a test of Reed's multiversal theory? We could see the Fantastic Four travel through the barriers of reality, and this is how they get their powers and how they cause an incursion. What if this post-credit scene of the Fantastic Four's rocket entering the MCU doesn't take place at the end of First Steps, but is actually taking place before First Steps? What if in this post-credit scene we're seeing the moment their rocket briefly traveled to another universe and then back into their own? It's been confirmed by director Matt Shakman that the Fantastic Four are the only superheroes in their universe, so it'd be pretty poetic if the way they got their powers was to briefly drift into the MCU. Now, it has been well established that the presence of someone from another universe confuses and destabilizes reality. So, like Reed said, his stretching of the bounds of space-time is responsible for their universe being marked for death, and their brief travel to the MCU could be one of many reasons there is a space crisis happening in that universe. Not only have the Fantastic Four potentially entered the MCU, causing a tear in space, but we see other tears in the MCU's reality in the Marvels and in Spider-Man No Way Home. So let me be clear, we're not saying this post-credit scene isn't the Fantastic Four arriving in the MCU after the events of the movie. It probably is. My point, however, is that it isn't really spoiling anything. This post-credit scene could be taking place before First Steps, or it could be a scene from Avengers Doomsday. In fact, it's even been reported that this entire post-credit scene was filmed on the set of Doomsday. The point is, whether or not the post-credit scene is taking place before, during, or even after the Fantastic Four movie is irrelevant. This post-credit scene, unlike many of the pointless, directionless ones we've gotten as of late, is teasing not only the next Marvel movie, which is the Fantastic Four, but it's also teasing Avengers Doomsday and the big role the new Avengers and the Fantastic Four will play in that film. I think this post-credit scene's inclusion of a brewing rivalry alongside the introduction of the Fantastic Four is meant to prepare us for the sides forming in this impending war. Many have speculated that Avengers Doomsday will essentially be the Avengers versus the original X-Men in a battle to save their respective universes. But Colton's had a theory in the works for a while now that we'll actually see three sides to this war. One team in the MCU, one team in the Fox X-Men universe where Deadpool, Wolverine, CGI Beast, Binary, and Monica are, and then a team consisting of Avengers and X-Men from both universes trying to stop these other two teams from killing each other's world, and instead to work together to solve the incursion. We think it's safe to say that Magneto, being the isolationist we know him to be, will lead a team of mutants, including many of the X-Men, into a war with the MCU. And over in the MCU, we're going to see the Avengers fighting right back. Meanwhile, Sam Wilson, alongside characters like Ant-Man, She-Hulk, Wong, America Chavez, and others, will work with Professor X, Beast, Monica, and hey, maybe even Deadpool and Wolverine to try to stop the fighting and the incursion. Now, where the Fantastic Four, New Avengers, and Doctor Doom tie into all this is the key to making it work. If Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four are from the same universe, which is a pretty safe bet, and if their universe has been destroyed, then they both would have experienced the loss of reality. So while Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four would likely join forces with Sam, Xavier, and the others to try to solve the incursion, we could see Doom lead the MCU's fight against Magneto. Doom will decide there is no saving both universes and that no one has to die. So he'll form his own team to destroy the other universes, claiming that's what he should have done before to save his world. So what team will Doom assemble? Who would be the perfect team of anti-heroes with a dark side who have no compunction about taking a life? The New Avengers.
With a Z.
Right. New Avengers, possibly with a Z, are desperate to prove themselves to the world. So if this guy, who looks like Tony Stark, comes strolling in, claiming that he has all the answers to stopping the space crisis, but that he needs soldiers who are willing to get their hands dirty for the greater good, who better than the New Avengers to join him? Doom will be able to easily appeal to their darker halves, being that he has a dark half of his own, and he'll say that he knows what it's like to live in the shadows of someone else. Again, tying into the overarching theme of the Thunderbolts movie, which literally had a giant shadow cast over New York. And oh my god, if we get to see Doom gain control of Sentry and the Void, he would be near unstoppable. Anyways, this perfectly sets the stage for us to see Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom leading his new team of Avengers into battle with Magneto and his Brotherhood of Mutants / X-Men. Imagine that, Doom leading the Avengers and Magneto leading the X-Men. That war would be brutal. And while they're all fighting it out, Sam, Xavier, Monica, the Fantastic Four, and the other defectors from their respective teams band together to solve the crisis and maybe even try to beat both teams to Loki's throne to save him and prevent Doom or Magneto from taking the literal reins of the multiverse. But of course, we all know that Doomsday isn't going to end well for our heroes or their universes. We will likely see the destruction of the MCU, the Fox X-Men universe, and maybe the entire multiverse as we know it, landing them all in the Void, which will be the movie's version of Battleworld from the Secret Wars comics, a conglomeration of many alternate worlds. And it's there that we will likely see Magneto and his team join Sam, Xavier, Reed, and the others in their fight against Doom. And I would assume that by this point, we'd see most, if not not all of the new Avengers see Doom for what he is and join in on the fight against him as well. And they'll need all the muscle they can get, because if Doom takes the power of the Sentry, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. So guys, that's what we think is happening after the new Avengers. Big shout out to Colton Ogburn who wrote this video. You can let us know what you think down in the comments below, or at me on Twitter, or on our free to join Discord server. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.